Good afternoon, everyone. How you all doing? Enjoying your day of dictation? Ish, possibly. Right, well, as you gathered, I'm here from Blackberry today, so I'm going to give you an update on our healthcare proposition, but don't worry, it's not going to be too onerous. It's going to be mixed in with lots of exciting videos and a preview of our new devices, so it's quite well worth watching if you can stay around. Before I get into it, I just thought I'd ask you a quick couple of questions, do a quick survey. How many people in the audience have used or are using a Blackberry device? Wow, that's got to be at least 80%. That's fantastic. And second question, how many of you are looking forward to meeting the Stig? Third question, is that the only reason you're still here? There's me. Okay. So there's lots of slides. I wasn't entirely sure on the audience, but the slides do cover digital dictation, they do cover digital pens, and they do cover UHB, so it's kind of relevant, but I'll go through it as rapidly as I can in the pertinent areas. Sean sat there thinking, this guy's going to show me some tech slides, and unfortunately, you bang on, but there's some nice videos as well. So anyway, as I say, I'm James Davey. I look after the Blackberry healthcare proposition, which basically means I run around the carriers trying to encourage them to sell more Blackberries. And in order to do that, I tell them the benefits of Blackberries in the enterprise sector and also all the great healthcare apps. So I run around after the carrier reps. I also work with 40 or 50 what we call independent software vendors, such as Winscribe and others, and we'll give you a view of those. And I also work directly with a number of what we call lighthouse customers, which of course include university hospitals, Birmingham. So that's me, and that's what I do. So, without any further ado, this is the agenda. I'm going to run through benefits of mobile technology in healthcare, which I'm sure most of you get, community stuff, acute stuff, some recent case studies which actually demonstrate some of the savings possible with our solutions, reiterate why Blackberry in healthcare rather than things like Android or iOS, where we are today with our devices, and then where we're going with our devices. So we're going to have a bit of a sneak preview of some of the newer technology, which hopefully you'll enjoy. So, as a business, we've had a lot of media attention recently, in particular because we're a company that is in transition. We've reduced our workforce from about 17,000 down to 12,000. We're in the midst of doing that, and that's primarily because of a change in sales, really. The US market for us has plummeted. However, other regions globally have really continued to grow. So, we are a growing company. As you can see, 18 million subscribers, 3 billion app world users, 60 million users on BBM, and so on. So, in terms of the Q2 earnings, which came out about a month ago, it was kind of acknowledged there that one of the markets, as I say, was America. There was a missed opportunity, and that was mostly around the fact that they deployed 4G very quickly over the last 6 months, and we didn't have a 4G device in market, so that's kind of where that market went for us. However, we do have 4G devices coming out soon, so watch this space there. And certainly in our growing market share, you can see is in other countries, Africa, South Africa, and so on. The cost-saving program I touched on is known as Core, and BlackBerry 10 is the first true new mobile platform in the last 5 years. And we're starting to use this term now, mobile computing, and that's the idea of walking around with a single device and docking it and using it for all of your activities, whether it's Word, Excel, and so on. So, on to the healthcare stuff. We're going to run through the healthcare professional and her capturing information at the point of care, the patient being more flexible and easier to make contact with her support mechanism, and into the healthcare organisations themselves and all the efficiency gains that can be done with our stuff. Technology landscape. Well, I've only been doing healthcare for about 8 months now, so I'm sort of getting used to some of these phrases, but a lot of people tell me that you have laptops locked away in cupboards that are rarely seen. They are cumbersome and awkward in front of users or customers. Sometimes you'll have to do a 4-factor authentication to get into one of these devices. Whereas smartphones are really easily portable, and we have our 7-inch tablet known as Playbook, which is a fantastic device, really literally fits into a doctor's pocket, which is a real change of that sort of dynamic. So, community care, all the normal stuff. Let's go through these one by one. Accessing patient records. Again, Sean referenced this. We've got a number of partners. In fact, the one on the left is obviously our friends CSE Rio. They're the first patient record provider that have actually written an app for BlackBerry. So we're into the second trial customer on that one. So we hope to start pushing out to CSE Rio customers soon. And then the other three there are kind of probably easiest to determine as middleware companies that will take what you're seeing and push it out onto a smartphone device. DigiPens, we talked about, but I've got a good case study coming up, in fact 2 on those. Lone worker safety, again, I'm sure you're familiar with. Rather than carrying a lanyard on your neck, which could be awkward and another thing to carry on your body, use your device to do that. The British National Formulary, why carry a book around when you can stick it onto your smartphone? Workflow, get up in the morning and get your jobs pushed out to you, save that journey to the office, acknowledge, accept or reject the invite when it comes in, and do your working day from the field rather than having to go into the office so frequently. Care and medication solutions. So this is from a fairly new partner of ours called Zero, and they do NFC stuff. So if you've seen any NFC technology, near-field communications, the idea if you're visiting the same patient on a repetitive basis, that when you arrive at the patient's home, you bump your device, your Blackberry, against a sticker, which indicates back to the supervisor that you've arrived. When you leave, you bump the sticker again, and that's all traceable back to the supervisor. While she's with the patient, she can also administrate medicines. Again, bump a sticker to reflect the medicine, because usually it's the same dosage every day. So Mr. Jones has had his 200 milligrams of this today, bump the sticker. So near-field communications is definitely a big buzzword, and of course the Apple devices don't have that capability. Mobile learning, anyone seen this one at all? Show of hands, seen this? So all that compulsory and mandatory training that you have to undertake as a healthcare worker in your daily life, go into the office, out of hours, go online and do it, you can now push that out to your devices. So if there's any easy questionnaires or documents you have to read, you can do that on your device, accept it, it gets pumped back through to the system that you've been doing that stuff. SatNav, if you've got a Blackberry and you go onto App World, you can now download a really good SatNav for free. It's called Telmap. So if you've got an unlocked Blackberry, I would advise you to do that because it's usually about £50. So that's a great one for a community worker. And so here comes the video. He says, hopefully. Well. It's all going so well. Oh, here we go.
I'm Jazz, a community mental health nurse based in Solihull. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, but in my job no 2 days are ever the same. Even the technology I use for my work is changing, and my Blackberry helps me to keep up. When dealing with confidential patient information, security is critical. Luckily, my Blackberry can only be used by me. It's password protected, and my organisation uses smart cards and readers for extra safety. After I swipe my ID card in the reader, I get a lockdown warning message if my card and Blackberry are more than 5 metres apart. And if I ever lost my Blackberry, the IT guys can wipe it remotely. It's the simple things, like being able to access a completely up-to-date appointments calendar, that make all the difference. Not having to go to the office to update my schedule means I get to spend more time with my clients. Even though I've lived in Solihull for years, I'm still discovering new parts of town all the time. But with GPS on my Blackberry, I just click on the address of my next appointment and get directions instantly. I even know when there are traffic jams, so I can make all my appointments on time, keep my patients happy, and keep on top of my day. Once I arrive at an appointment, I can access up-to-date patient records directly from my Blackberry, so I know exactly what I'm going to be doing during the visit. Working as a nurse and carrying medicines around with me, I also need to feel that I'm safe. So before I begin an appointment, I switch on my lone worker application and set a time for the appointment duration. If there are any problems, I can raise a silent alarm at the press of a button, or if I'm overrunning, I get a call from my team making sure I'm okay. A major benefit of Blackberry for me is that I can make notes while I'm at the appointment, straight into the patient records database. That means no heavy files to carry around. Beyond the obvious security benefits, it means there are no gaps in the information I have. As an organisation, this has really helped us improve client care. And that's what it's all about. I'm helping my clients and seeing them happy and comfortable in their own homes. I recently had the idea of setting up a BBM group for my team. Now, when I need a second opinion, I can contact them all in one hit. As none of us are usually at our desks, this is a really great way of keeping in touch. Dealing with people's health, we have to be thorough with our paperwork. It used to be difficult keeping on top of all the admin. I've now halved my admin time by using a digital pen and forms on the go. I complete the assessment form by running the pen over barcodes on the form. I can also write other notes freehand. It even recognises my handwriting. Best of all, the assessment form and notes are instantly added to the patient's record and can be viewed by any of my colleagues. My lone worker app reminds me that the appointment's nearly up, but I can always extend the visit so we've got time for a quick cup of tea before I head off. I look after some lovely people, so it's always good to catch up. Being able to work remotely has been the most positive change in my job over the past couple of years. I'm a community nurse after all. Having a Blackberry means I spend more time in my community visiting patients and less time back in the office doing paperwork.
Very good. So now let's go into acute care. Same system really. So this is a great one for UHB. This is linking your telephone system, or PBX as we call it in the trade, to your Blackberry device. So your desk phone rings at the same time as your Blackberry phones, and you choose to answer the call on either device. That sort of technology has been around for a while, but it's much improved with MVS in the fact that you can use the Wi-Fi in the hospital. So UHB, being a PFI initiative hospital, had Wi-Fi from day one and therefore could make calls internally for free. If you have someone working from home on Wi-Fi and they ring into the hospital, again, that call is for free. So it's really easy and simple technology that saves money. It's also really good because the user doesn't realise whether the call is going on Wi-Fi or over the cellular network. They just make the call. So that's the difference. On other technologies, you have to go into an app to do stuff. So it's a really good case study, the MVS one. Not seen this one before, but I'm sure someone out there can tell me a bit about that one. Pager replacements, that's another quite hot subject at the moment in my world. Vocera in particular have got Blackberry devices being used instead of pages in a secondary position. They're also looking at resilient networks that will allow Blackberries to be used as frontline pages as well. So again, this doctor wandering around with a dictation device on his belt, a pager on his belt, a mobile phone on his belt, a Blackberry on the belt. Let's just reduce that down to one device is the dream. Webelo is a company which basically takes legacy SQL databases. So if I think of another customer of mine, Guys in St Thomas, they've got 863 SQL databases on site, all used for different things in different pockets. So, you know, how the hell would you mobilize any of those? Well, you take a simple kit from Webelo and they can do things really rapidly, which is the exact case at UHB. And with that in mind, I have another video. Let's see if it will go straight away. Yeah.
There are some principal reasons why we use Blackberry within University Hospitals Birmingham. Gone are the days for us where clinicians would have to bury their heads into reams of paperwork, alternatively have to go to different locations to look at electronic information. What we've really tried to do with the Blackberry environment is create an ability for us to deliver applications to innovate the way that we deliver clinical care.
We built a magnificent new hospital, but clearly it's a very large steel frame building, and one of our key problems at the beginning of the move into the building was communications.
About 12 months ago we identified that the staff that we have on call for pharmacy and access to medicines out of hours after 5 o'clock, we had no idea whether they were having one call or 100 calls, and we needed a way of monitoring the calls that were coming in, the type of calls, in a way that was easy for them to use.
In terms of applications our clinicians use on Blackberries, one of them is an application that we developed for our liver transplant team that allowed them, irrespective of geographically where they are, to make an informed decision about which would be the most appropriate patient to receive that transplant. The second one is an application used by our pharmacist support team, and it allows them to be responsive in terms of receiving requests for advice and guidance from staff on wards. And the final application is an application called NORS, which is used by our neuro team, which are a specialist and dedicated team that provide regional advice to hospitals throughout the United Kingdom. Those specialists, irrespective of where they are, can make a record of the advice and the guidance that they've given and record that permanently as a part of that patient's record.
Being able to use the Blackberry MVS system to route calls through our wireless network and deliver patient care confidentially and securely has made a very big difference to our efficiency and the ability to make decisions much more quickly.
The main patient benefits that we've been able to demonstrate as a result of using the Blackberry is because we've now triaged the calls, when we have calls come in, we know that they're clinically urgent. And the staff are extremely pleased because they've actually halved the call volume, which is fantastic.
Blackberry is integral to our strategic foundations because of its reliability, its security model, its robustness in terms of a clinical environment. One of the things that we measure as a benefit is actually the patient's perception of the fact that a clinician can now use a Blackberry to look up information that relates to that particular patient in real time. With the advent of things like the Playbook recently, we're beginning to expand that portfolio in terms of where we can take Blackberry within the organisation. The immediate one that we're currently working on is to deliver a solution set to underpin our logistical and portering services. We need to ensure that we've got the appropriate controls that give us the compliance and the governance requirements that we need to have in place to protect patient data and also organisational sensitive information. Blackberry is the only phone that does that.
Deborah and Linda had a very controlled smile on their face throughout that. I'm not sure whether it's a grimace or a smile, but let's keep going. So in terms of recent case studies and certainly saving monies, Nuremberg Health Board is a key Blackberry customer, and they've used a digital pen technology in their frailty care project. So this is the idea of an elderly person having an incident, remaining at home, and then having 7 different types of workers visit them. In fact, 6 or 7 types of workers, so social care, NHS, etc. And every time they turn up, they all scribble on the same form, and those scribbles are then translated back to the end system, which is a portal, and each of the 6 or 7 people look at the portal for an update before they go out again, if you're with me. So exactly as Sean described earlier. But that's a real live customer using the technology, and we're doing a video case study coming soon, so hopefully next year I'll be here showing you that one. Portsmouth, I'm sure you've seen before, but that's where they digitised the whole maternity book, so that 130-page summary book that's got left with the expectant mother was fully digitised. There's some savings on the slide there, but there are also other savings which aren't accountable, which include the storage costs of paper and also litigation fees. So if the mother does lose that book, there are litigation fees associated with it. So it's a real good winner, and we've got some more customers buying the same solution soon. Home and Farm Trust is the NFC stuff I talked about before, and again we're shooting a video on that one shortly. And then back to why Blackberry in healthcare. Well, hopefully most of you know that we've got a real choice of form factors for Blackberry, so cheap and robust right through to the latest and greatest shiny ones. And of course this whole security model, which we all know as the Computer Electronic Security Group, which is the government support, which is currently in a bit of a change actually following the Caldecott review. We're moving towards this NHS IG toolkit, and again they've approached Blackberry to assist with the trials on that. So we're very much in the government's mind in terms of security for government sector. Although the NHS is clearly slightly different, some organisations are less concerned about information governance, but some clearly are. So a strong position for us. Here's another thing. Has anyone ever heard of QNX? Raise your arm if you've heard of QNX. Yeah, that's what I thought. So QNX is a microkernel. It's an operating system that's been around for about 20 years and is used in all nuclear power stations, all of the exec cars out there, and also in over 60% of machinery in medicines, in hospitals, sorry. And Blackberry brought QNX about 3 years ago to run the operating system on our phones. So there's nothing announced on that space yet, but as per the next slide, down the bottom there, it's talking about telehealth. So pushing out real-time information from these QNX-enabled machines to QNX Blackberries could be the future coming soon. One other thing we just sponsored recently is NHS Choices, that fantastic website that we all use when we're feeling a bit parky and don't want to go to the doctor. We get on to NHS Choices. Well, now we've done 2 apps with them to go on our Blackberry, and that's a first, really, because no other vendor, iOS or Android, have done that. So download it. Again, it's called Healthy Living, so that's another one for you. Telmap and Healthy Living, some great advice on there to improve your healthcare. So where are we with phones today? Well, I'm not going to read this out, but basically the current versions are called 7.1. They're super quick, super fast. They've really caught up with the rest of the technology and have a number of key features on them, which include working closely with Microsoft for all of their services. Citrix. Any Citrix users in the room? Very good. So Citrix on a playbook is available now. So rather than carrying that laptop around, you can access your Word docs via Citrix on our devices over Wi-Fi or however you do it. SharePoint client for Blackberry, that's really good. Find your docs, download them, look at them, upload them again. And here is the beautiful, powerful, portable playbook, which was released about a year ago and didn't quite live up to expectations, certainly compared to some of the other tablets around. But about 3 months ago, they released the operating system known as 2, which gave us some key extra features such as native email. So now, out of the box, you can have fully secured email on your playbook device. It also links with your Blackberry. So if you've got someone with a Blackberry and you give them a tablet, you can literally use the playbook as a viewing screen into the Blackberry. So it's a really good device and very cost effective. Don't like to talk about money as salespeople, but believe me, it's a lot less money than others. Where else are we going? So Balance, that's another technology where you can now perhaps give your hospital workers a Blackberry device and split their personal and business life off, so they can securely look at Facebook, tweets, whatever, and can never actually cut and paste anything from personal into business. So that's known as Balance, and that's kind of a future that you'll see on other devices. In fact, talking about other devices, we also have something called Fusion, which is the ability to extend our Blackberry infrastructure, which we're well known for, to also manage other devices. So we're well aware that senior clinicians that have lots of money buy very expensive tablets, and they might want to look at confidential information. So through Blackberry, your trusted partner for all things enterprise, we can now manage those devices for you. And we're getting much more open, so we've got lots more developers on the go developing apps for us. Again, we used to be Java-based, and now we're open source, so we've got many more developers than we have done in the past. Right, so here's some hopefully interesting bits for you. Here's a teaser video. Boom, yeah, indeed, very appropriate. That may or may not be what one of our new phones look like. There's two gentlemen there that started smiling when I put that on. I'm not sure whether that's because of the lady or the phone, but you can tell me afterwards. So all our terminology around the new phones is about having a very interactive experience. In fact, we've been described as Blackberry workers as hyper-connected and laser-focused. That's me. So it's all about spreading our messages instantly and quickly, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So the device itself, when you're doing something, allows you to look at something else that's come in. So as Blackberry users, you'll be sat there typing a long email on it, and that red light starts flashing, doesn't it? You think, oh goodness, shall I look at it or shouldn't I? Or shall I finish off my email, but my email's going, it might be the Wi-Fi, I'll look at it. So you have to go all the way out and look at it. So with Peek, basically, you can just use your thumb to scroll over, have a look at what it is. If it's any good, you can continue to swipe over and go into it, and then swipe back. Or if you look at it, you don't fancy it, you can go back to what you're doing. So a really usable device. So that's key word number one is Peeks. The second one is thinking. As you saw on the pad there, when you're actually typing, it intuitively works out what sort of type you are. So if you're constantly missing letters or using the same words, it'll work that out and do it for you. And then while you're typing, it then offers words to you along the top, and you flick the word up, and I'll show you a video in a minute. But that's really intuitive. And they've done speed tests against other touchscreen smartphones, and this, in theory, is 40% faster. So there's a stat for you. Remember that. Let's have a look at it in action. He says confidently. So typing away, find a letter, find a word, and then throw it up. I think it's like all things. Once you get used to typing, you can just get quicker and quicker. And there we go. All right, we're almost there, by the way, so don't worry, I'm not going to go on too much longer. When you open your new device in January or February, whenever it arrives, it'll have lots of intuitive apps built in straight away. So all the apps that we've been missing to date, some of those favourites, which I won't mention, will now come out of the box. It'll also include really easy ways to buy videos and media and so on. Does anyone use BBM in here? Blackberry Messenger, BBM? Thank you so much. BBM has recently been listed in the Oxford Dictionary because it's been so well used, apart from at this conference. But BBM, as well as used for chat, will be used for video. So you're on holiday, you've just shot something nice, you're looking at something nice. Why not fire up your device? Obviously, you're on a real cheap tariff. Connect with a video with your friend and then start showing them where you are on holiday. Likewise, you're trying to get a PowerPoint finished, you want to connect with a friend, get the colleague on the phone, have a look at him, show him the device and chat through it. So video on BBM, I think, is going to be an absolute killer for us. As before, there's 60 million BBM users worldwide. And this is the last two slides of that slide stroke video. So Time Warp basically captures a photo. You might have seen this on other phones where it captures a photo and you can rewind and fast forward the photo. So when you see James smiling, which happens rarely, you can capture it and then go with that. The difference on the new Blackberry smartphones is you'll not only be able to capture James smiling, but you'll put James smiling onto another photo. So I only smile occasionally, and therefore you'll see me smiling on my photos from now on. And this is what it looks like on the video. Pretty impressive. So going back to what I was saying, now you can perhaps understand those three statements. So that's me, I'm done, bang on half an hour. Anyone that's got a pen and paper, please write down my name and number if you work in the NHS and you want to engage further with the Blackberry people. I'd really like to meet as many of you as possible. And just a big thank you to Chris for inviting me today and giving me the opportunity to speak. Thanks very much.